Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a Raid Shadow Legends champion guide for the Dwarf Melga Steelgirldle, so let's get into it. Alrighty, so Melga is going to be one of the newer epics released to Raid Shadow Legends. The HP scaling epic right here is Melga, and we're going to go over an infographic and then some kit and base stat analysis right after this video's sponsor. And now I'd like to give a huge shout out to this video's sponsor, Gemstone Legends. Now, if you want to try this game out absolutely free, I provided a download link down below in the video description and also a pinned comment. They've also given us a freebie starter bonus pack that you can see over there on the right side of the screen, featuring a free epic champion and some resources to get you started. All you got to do is put in hashtag Chofly hashtag in the in-game chat to acquire them. So, what is Gemstone Legends? It's an RPG game made by RPG enthusiasts, featuring lots of different genres and gaming elements wrapped into one game. Summoning heroes with scrolls, puzzle-style elements, the ability to equip and min-max our heroes with gear, exploring all the different worlds to find new gear, bring in allies to do damage with you, and all sorts of different style heroes to help you based on what you are facing in each fight. There's an arena, events, tournaments, guilds, guild bosses, tons of different things in this game to explore and learn about on your journey, all done in a new style based on combos, timing, and special abilities. So remember, down below there's a link to try the game out absolutely free, and you want to make sure to put Chofly in the in-game chat by hashtag Chofly hashtag to get yourself that free epic hero and some resources to get you started. So huge thank you to Gemstone Legends. Now let's get back to the video. So as always, for my champion guides, I do provide an infographic with some of the general information about the champion that you can find down below in a pinned comment, nice and easy to pull up. So the one thing I do always like to make sure and point out is the masteries. You don't want to blindly copy masteries. I try to put in infographics and videos some masteries that would be generally useful most of the time for that champion, but do take note, you want to read the masteries as you're building and kind of build the champion based on exactly where you're going to be using them and how you're going to be using them. But that infographic will be down below. You can pull that up and take a look at it whenever you would like. So let's dive into some of the base stats here for Melga. So Melga's going to be scaling her damage with the HP stat, and she only does damage with her A1, so not going to be a super heavy damage dealer, but 20,400 is a pretty decent HP for an epic champion. The attack stat is completely worthless on her. I do want to make note on the graphic, if you look up on the top right, the stats are green, yellow, and red. That's going to go in order of priority from super important for the green to helpful for the yellow to completely worthless if it's in red. So for Melga, you don't want any attack or accuracy. You're not going to get use out of those stats. But then for the defense, 991. It's kind of low, but she is an HP scaling champion, so as long as you get her to have high HP, she should be pretty sturdy. The speed of 100, perfect. That's kind of right what we're looking for. It's not super high. It's not low. It is what it is. Crit rate and crit damage, again, are not super important on her. We're not going to be building her as a damage dealer. Crit can help, but she's not going to be some arena nuker like a Trunda or something. The base resistance of 45. The dwarves are a pretty sturdy faction. We see some pretty high resistances from your Mountain Kings, and a lot of the dwarves in general have pretty high base resistance. Melga's no different, being an epic with 45. The base accuracy of 0 is completely irrelevant. That does not matter. She has nothing in her kit that's going to require her to build up her accuracy. But then as we dive into the kit analysis, remember the only ability of hers that is going to do damage is the A1. The other ones are just spells. So we're going to run up and hit with the A1, and then the multipliers you can see here on the A1, the 0.15 times 1 hit, and it scales with HP. That's what that means right there in the bottom middle of the infographic. So it's going to be attack one enemy with a 50% chance of removing one random debuff from a random ally. Cannot remove a debuff from this champion. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of like a Doom Priest. Doom Priest does it on the passive, kind of removing one random debuff from all allies. This is a random ally, so not going to be ridiculously impactful, but anytime we get buff manipulation on an A1 default ability, we'll take it. That's pretty solid for an epic. Then on the A2, we've got places a shield buff on all allies equal to 20% of this champion's max HP. Super important to scale a lot of HP on Melga. Also going to place a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. We can book this to a 3-turn cooldown. So that's a very good A2 for an epic. You've got shielding that's based off of a scalable stat. It's based off of her stat, and also going to be placing some heals on all allies. Then the A3 is going to be revive 2 random allies with 20% HP and 20% turn meter. also placing more shield buff on the revived allies for 2 turns equal to 30% of their max HP. So that one's not going to scale with Melga's HP, but it's still super solid and a very needed thing for dwarves to have a reviver. So that's also a super cool A3 that can be booked to a 5-turn cooldown. And then Melga gets a really good passive. It doesn't seem like it, but not passive, but aura. It doesn't seem like it, but ally HP in all battles by 15% is actually really good. The dwarves, their final boss fight in Faction Wars, you need a lot of HP. So Melga actually checks a lot of different boxes and things you're looking for in a dwarf, especially trying to help clear the Faction Wars, because dwarves is one of the toughest ones. It usually ranks in the top 4, depending on who you ask. I would say the average rank of dwarf toughness in Faction Wars is going to be like 2 or 3. So a very tough faction to clear. Melga was definitely a sorely needed champion to help with the shields and high HP and HP aura and revive. She checks a lot of the boxes of what you're going to need to help you in the end game Faction Wars for dwarves. But now let's head on over to the Melga that I've got built, and we will talk about the building process, the books, the masteries, and all that type of stuff. Alright, so here is the Melga that I've got built, and you'll see the Relentless and Immortal. Also on the infographic up towards the top right, you can see the optimal sets that kind of make sense on that champion. So there's the list of those if you ever want to pull that up. But I had some good high HP Relentless gear laying around, and then I paired that with some Immortal. I don't have my Melga booked because we'll talk about that during the booking process, but just because the way Raid works right now, if you're going to book somebody, you kind of ideally want to wait until you're live in a clan war match so you can double dip with those points and help out your team. So I'm going to wait to book her. I do want to book her because she's going to be good for my Faction Wars 21 farming squad, but I haven't booked her yet because I'm going to wait until the next clan war match just to try to be efficient for my team. But yeah, that's why I went with Relentless. Is she's going to get that revive up a little bit more often and cycle through her abilities a little bit faster when she's in the Relentless set, if you can get her in a high HP, high speed version of Relentless. But in terms of total stats, if you want to see the stats on mine and compare it to yours, we want to get the HP way up there as high as we can get it while getting the other stuff that we need, like a decent amount of speed. And if you can get a little bit of resistance, that's great. You don't need accuracy or attack or anything. So the gearing is pretty straightforward with Melga. Leads us into the banner. Your best blend of HP and speed is going to be the priority. If you get a little bit of defense and stuff on the banner, that would be great. The amulet, you're almost always going to want HP. And then if you can get a little bit of resistance on there, that would help too. And the ring, again, you're almost always going to want HP. And then if you can get some defense to boot, that would be great. Then for the boots, I would say most times you're going to want speed on the boots, but I could see like really good HP % boots making sense if you've got a good speed roll as a substat. Like I could see it making sense on a champion like Melga that stacks a ton of HP, similar to someone like Mountain King, where you'll see some HP % boot type builds come out. But speed or really good rolled HP boots. The chest, you're almost always going to want HP on the chest. Your best blend of speed and defense besides that with a little bit of resistance maybe. Gloves, same story as the chest. Like I said, pretty straightforward gearing for Melga. Here is the top pieces. We're looking for HP, speed, defense, resistance, but there is those in case you wanted to see that. So now let's dive into the booking process that we kind of touched on a little bit before. But okay, Melga does take 15 books, which is rough. Raid in general has been kind of scaling towards champions taking a little bit more heavy booking, unfortunately, but Melga is worth it. Like, especially if you have not finished Faction Wars, Melga's going to be worth the books. I would at least get the A2 and the A3, get that shield to a 3-turn cooldown with the heals, and get that revive to cycle back every 5 turns. That'll help you immensely when you're trying to progress in Faction Wars. And Melga's honestly a pretty good progression champion. If you get her in the early to mid game, she can definitely help be a really good support on your roster. So she is worth the books. The A1, it is nice because you can get that chance buffed up a pretty decent amount, but gosh, 8 books on that A1, it's just rough. So if you get good RNG and you get the A2 and the A3 maxed out and you save 1 or 2 books on the A1, go for it. But just it's a little bit unfortunate the booking side of Melga. But now let's go ahead and talk about the masteries real quick here. So we'll slide me over to the middle so I'm not blocking stuff. There are times where the defense tree could make sense on Melga, like if you're not going to use her ever for the clan boss, or you don't really need her to help your boss runs or to help your clear times by 5-10 seconds by getting War Master procs, totally makes sense to go down the defense tree. But like I said, I wanted to make the masteries as generally useful as I could for the infographic, so this is what I went with. But defense and support tree could definitely make sense. And if you didn't want to get War Master as the tier 6. You could go really a few different choices. You could get the resistance if you wanted her to be super sturdy, super tanky for you. You could even go Bulwark, would make her a lot better in the arena to soak up damage. She's a champion that stacks a bunch of HP, so I could see the elixir here making sense. But yeah, a lot of different ways you could go. This is kind of the most generally useful setup I could come up with her. And now I'm going to show you a 3-star team for dwarves that I kind of put together with Melga. And actually, this video is going to be obviously sped up. I wanted it to take like a minute and a half to 2 minutes instead of like the 5-minute run, just as we're kind of talking here. So I sped it up a little bit for the video. But this was kind of a team that I put together with Melga to help me farm my stage 21 with dwarves for clan wars. I used to just kind of farm stage 20 with dwarves, but now with clan matches, you definitely want to farm stage 21 if you can at all. So this isn't necessarily the final version of this team, but just kind of playing around here, testing with Melga. I noticed while recording, this one did come up with a 3-star, so it can work definitely with Melga. She's absolutely incredible, sorely needed. Like I said earlier, a really good job by Plarium to address some of the needs that were needed in the dwarf faction wars. It was insanely hard. It's the boss that has the A1 that ignores all defense, so it's just a worthless stat. So you need really high HP, and odds are, unless you got really GG gear, the boss is just gonna sit there slamming down champions. That's why Molly was super S tier for dwarf faction wars. You'll see like everybody complaining. Every 3-star team they see has Molly in it. It's because having that revive is just so handy versus the dwarves, the boss that they go against here on the last stage. So Melga, like I said, incredible that she addresses that need, not only providing the shields and the heals and scaling with HP, which you need for the final fight, but she's also going to bring the revive to the table. So she's honestly better than Molly just for stage 21. She has a lot less CC, so she's not going to help with the waves as much as like a Molly, but just straight up in the boss fight, honestly, Melga's probably even better. So an absolutely amazing job to address some of the deep needs that dwarves needed in the faction wars. So you'll see here, this will be down in about 10 seconds or so. And I actually didn't even need the revive because I got lucky RNG and the boss killed Tormund, which revives himself. But if he didn't target Tormund, then Melga would have went ahead and picked up whoever he did kill. So it would have made the difference between me 2-starring or 3-starring that run. But now let's go ahead and get Melga graded here in the different areas of the game individually. Faction Wars definitely 5. I think that's, you've heard me state this 2 or 3 times. I believe she was designed with Faction Wars in mind. So she's definitely a 5 there. And if that was their goal, they did a good job because she definitely is a pretty good carry for the dwarves. Campaign. So I think on the infographic, I gave her like a B+. The thing is, she's decent for the campaign, especially 3-starring content with the shields, the heals, and the revive, and the aura. But she's not going to be some sort of speed farmer, XP farmer, anything like that. But she's solid for the campaign. For the arena, on defense and offense, I would probably go a 4 on both. Like she's all right. She's not going to be like top tier arena or anything, but I could see her making sense on certain defensive setups where you want the shields, and reviving is always really good in the arena, especially kind of in the early and the mid game. Can really make the difference between winning or losing, and bump up your win percentage to be a little bit more efficient in your great hall farming. So yeah, I give her a pretty decent score of like a 4 there. She's definitely better on defense than offense though, I think, and that's why you see the 4 versus the 3.6 here on the ratings. Ice Golem, she's really good in the Golem. Yeah, 5 honestly, with the revives and the shields and the HP sorely needed here for the Golem. She's definitely, that's probably her best dungeon is the Golem. Clan boss, gosh, it'd be like a 3.5 or so. It revives okay in the clan boss. It's nowhere near as strong as it is in like faction wars or the arena. The shielding's nice, the aura and everything, but I mean, she's all right. Like 3, not amazing, not trash. I think that's fair there. Minnow, she's fine. We can go like a 4. Dragon, yeah, she's a pretty solid support. It'd be like a 4.5 probably. But Dragon 20 as of right now, making this video, is magic, so I'd probably go a 4 because magic does counter her spirit affinity. But we've got level 25 dungeons coming out, so odds are that may change here. We don't know the exact 100% confirmed affinity of the level 25 dungeons when they release. Spider, I'm surprised that her rating is only a 3.5. Shields are pretty good in the spider, so having the heals to counteract the poisons that are placed by the spiderlings, and then the shields to help you stay alive from the spiderling damage, and then having revive, she's pretty solid in the spider for progression. I'm not like a 5, not god tier or anything probably, but I think 3.5 is a little low. I would go 4 for her. Fire Knight, she's got the single hit A1, but some pretty good supporting stuff. And she is strong currently against the stage 20 affinity. She is Spirit versus the stage 24. So I'd go 4. She's all right in the Fire Knight. Not like top tier great or anything. The Void Keep, she's fine there. The continuous heal will counteract the poisons. The Force Keep, she doesn't break defense, but she is affinity strong. I'll go 4. Spirit Keep, she doesn't have any special mechanics like the heal reduction or anything, but she's just a solid support kind of in these keeps here. She is affinity weak, so I'll go a little bit worse on the Magic Keep and go 3 right there. But now in conclusion, we'll just kind of have a quick discussion off the cuff, casual discussion, and I'll wrap up kind of my final thoughts here on Melga, her champion design, and what I think after really building her and testing her. I'll pull up the infographic if you want to take a look at that while we're just kind of wrapping things up here. But yeah, like I said a couple times, I think Plarium's goal was to address how ridiculously hard Dwarves is if you don't have Molly. Molly was a fusion back in the day, but if you're a newer player to raid, you didn't have that opportunity. So your odds of having Molly is super low, which is great that they're releasing kind of rares and epics that'll help address some of the issues that Dwarves were having in Faction Wars if you did not have Molly. So they knocked it out of the park in that regard. I think Melga's an amazing release for Dwarf Faction Wars, and she's pretty good otherwise, like I said. So I would give their design of her like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. They did a great job designing Melga. She has a carved out niche and role in the game, but she's not like OP or crazy, ridiculous, annoying or anything. So yeah, I think this is one of their better jobs recently in designing a new champion to add to raid. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I always enjoy reading your opinions as well. And like I said, that infographic is down there if you want to be able to pull that up whenever you would like to look at it. So that'll do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.